I stand frozen at the edge of my parents' driveway, watching a nightmare unfold in real time. The local news van, with its satellite dish, looms like an invader on our family property. The cameraman adjusts his equipment while the reporter, a bottle blonde with a practiced smile, holds a microphone to my younger sister's face. 12 years, Beatrice gushes, her pearl earrings catching the October sunlight. It's a labor of love. 12 years of creating memories for our community. My fingers curl into fists at my sides. 12 years of my labor. 12 years of my designs. 12 years of my money funding what started as a simple yard haunt and grew into the neighborhood's most anticipated Halloween tradition. Anthony tugs at my jacket sleeve. Mom, why is Aunt Beatrice talking about our haunted house like that? I glance down at my 9-year-old son, his earnest face pinched with confusion. Beside him, 7-year-old Lila clutches her sketch pad filled with monster drawings she'd created for this year's display. My children, the true co-creators, relegated to confused spectators. This year will be our biggest yet. Beatrice continues, her voice carrying across the lawn. My vision is to transform the entire property. My vision. My vision. The blood rushes to my face so fast I feel dizzy. Come on, kids. I manage. My voice strangely calm despite the volcano erupting inside me. Let's go inside. The garage door stands open, revealing the organized chaos of Halloween preparations. My detailed blueprints cover a folding table, secured with colored paperweights. Boxes labeled in my handwriting stack nearly to the ceiling. Half-finished props occupy every spare inch the enchanted forest creatures I'd been sculpting during late nights after the children went to bed. When did this become your haunted house, Beatrice? The question slips out the moment my sister sashays through the door, the news crew thankfully gone. My mother appears from the kitchen, dish towel in hand, her mouth already forming a familiar disapproving line. Don't start, Nalani. You know how hard Beatrice works on the publicity. Publicity? The word tastes bitter. You mean taking credit? Beatrice laughs, the same tinkling sound she's perfected since childhood when deflecting something uncomfortable. Oh please, it's just easier for the media to have one spokesperson. Nobody cares who builds what. Nobody except the person who stays up until 3 a.m. designing animatronic woodland creatures. Nobody except the person who spends her design commission checks on specialty fog machines and LED lighting systems. I grab the nearest box filled with moss I'd collected and preserved myself, and begin organizing its contents with trembling hands. My mind flashes to last October, when I'd worked through a fever to finish the cemetery scene. Beatrice had arrived 15 minutes before opening, positioned herself by the entrance, and posed for photographs as families streamed in. The community newspaper the following week. Beatrice Gomez continues beloved Halloween tradition. No mention of me. No acknowledgement of Anthony and Lila, who had spent weekends helping paint tombstones. Mom? Anthony's voice pulls me back to the present. He stands straight, practicing the confident posture we'd worked on at home. Can Lila and I be tour guides this year? We practiced like you showed us. Pride blooms in my chest. They'd rehearsed their spooky narration for weeks, complete with the dramatic pauses I'd taught them. Before I can answer, my mother interjects. Those roles are for Beatrice's children. They're more outgoing. She doesn't even look at Anthony when she says it, busy arranging plastic pumpkins that I'd carved and wired with lights. But Jason and Mia don't even like Halloween, Lila protests, her small voice wavering. They said it's babyish. They're just being modest, my mother dismisses. They'll do beautifully once they're in costume. I watch my children's faces fall, their excitement crumpling like tissue paper in rain. They shuffle toward the door leading to the kitchen, shoulders slumped in identical poses of rejection. We can still help with the props, right? Anthony asks, looking back at me with hope still flickering in his eyes. Of course, I assure him, forcing a smile. I need my best assistance. After they disappear into the house, Beatrice picks up my main blueprint, the centerpiece design for the enchanted forest path, studying it with a critical eye. This arch needs to be taller, she announces, grabbing a pencil to mark changes on my design. And we should replace these mushrooms with something more elegant, maybe crystal formations? My father enters carrying boxes of Halloween candy. Beatrice, the newspaper wants to know if you can do another interview tomorrow. Something about featuring you in their local heroes section. Perfect, she beams, setting my blueprint aside with her unauthorized modifications. I'll wear the green blazer. It photographs well. Fabi. Something shifts inside me as I watch my children through the kitchen window. They sit at the table, heads bent together, no doubt consoling each other over yet another disappointment. How many times have they been pushed aside, their contributions minimized? How often have I allowed it to happen, swallowing my objections in the name of family harmony? I straighten my spine, a decision crystallizing with sudden clarity. Something has to change, and I'm the only one who can change it. The next day, the morning sunlight mocks me through the blinds as I stare at my phone screen, paralyzed. The cup of coffee beside my laptop grows cold, forgotten. Thrilled to announce the Halloween haunted house theme, Enchanted Forest. My vision comes to life in 2 weeks. Beatrice's Facebook post already has 73 likes and a comment section overflowing with praise. My thumb scrolls through responses that make my stomach clench. You're so creative, Beatrice. Can't wait to see what you've dreamed up this year. Your dedication to the community is inspiring. And there's Beatrice, responding to each compliment with gracious humility. Thank you. It's a labor of love. And I'm so excited to share it with everyone. And just wait until you see the mushroom grove. The mushroom grove, the one I spent 3 weekends crafting from recycled materials, the one Anthony helped paint during afternoons when he could have been playing with friends. A text notification slides down from the top of my screen. Beatrice, I've invited the mayor this year. Make sure everything looks perfect. No, please. No acknowledgement that she's asking for my labor. Just an assumption that I'll make her look good, as always. I set my phone down carefully, as if handling something volatile. On the kitchen table, my checkbook register shows the truth in black and white. $3,200 spent this year alone, on specialty lighting, weatherproof fabrics, and custom foam shapes. My money. My design. My vision. The storage unit receipt sits beside it, 12 years of accumulated props and equipment, all in my name because Beatrice doesn't have the space and, you're so organized, Nalani. Anthony shuffles into the kitchen, hair still rumpled from sleep, Lila trailing behind him clutching her sketchbook. Their presence steadies something inside me that was threatening to shatter. Morning monsters. I pour cereal into bowls, working to keep my voice light. Ready for school? Is Aunt Beatrice taking over our haunted house? Lila asks, her 7-year-old perception cutting straight to the heart. I hesitate, searching for the right words, ones that won't poison them against family but won't teach them to accept erasure either. The haunted house belongs to all of us. I say finally. Sometimes Aunt Beatrice forgets that. But you're the one who makes everything, Anthony says, his young face serious. Grandma even said so once when she didn't know I was listening. She told Grandpa, thank goodness Nalani handles all the work while Beatrice handles the glory. The cereal spoon freezes halfway to my mouth. She said that? Anthony nods, reaching for the milk. She didn't sound mad about it, though, like it was just how things are supposed to be. Just how things are supposed to be. A familiar refrain in the Gomez family hymnal. The doorbell rings before I can respond. I find Mrs. Rodriguez on my porch, a basket of pan dulce in her weathered hands. For my favorite haunted house creators, she says, nodding toward the children who've appeared behind me. I saw that interview yesterday. 12 years, querida. She shakes her head, her silver hair catching the morning light. I've watched you build this tradition for years. Everyone in the neighborhood knows whose imagination brings it to life. Something warm and dangerous unfurls in my chest. Recognition, how strange it feels coming from someone outside my family. Thank you, I manage, accepting the basket. After the kids leave for school and Mrs. Rodriguez returns home, I sink onto my couch, laptop open to my bank statements. 12 years of expenditures highlighted in yellow. 12 years of designing, building, storing, and funding what has become my sister's claim to local fame. My phone buzzes with a call from Sarah. I saw Beatrice's post, she says without preamble, and I'm calling to tell you I've had enough. We've all had enough watching this happen year after year. It's complicated, I begin. It's not complicated. It's wrong. Let me help you stand up to them. And do what? My laugh sounds hollow even to me. Cancel the whole thing 2 weeks before Halloween? Disappoint the neighborhood kids? Or reclaim what's yours, she says simply. Michael mentioned something when I picked up Jamie from school yesterday. He said the maintenance room at Oak Ridge Elementary is empty until the renovation starts in November. Space for an alternative. An alternative. The words hang in the air, dangerous and thrilling. That evening, I drive to my parents' house after work. The garage door stands open, revealing the familiar chaos of Halloween preparations. No one is home yet perfect. I know exactly what I'm looking for. The core pieces. The ones only I know how to assemble properly. The lighting control panel. The handcrafted woodland creatures. The fog machine that requires a specific touch to function without overheating. I load them efficiently into my SUV, heartbeat steady despite the risk. This isn't theft. These items belong to me, purchased with my money, created with my hands. The crunch of gravel announces my father's arrival as I close the trunk. He steps from his sedan, confusion giving way to suspicion. "What are you doing with Beatrice's materials?" he asks, hands on his hips. "They're mine, Dad." My voice emerges steadier than I expected. "I bought them with my money." His face hardens into the disappointed expression I've known since childhood. "You've always been so selfish. Why can't you support your sister?" The familiar guilt rises automatically, then recedes like a wave pulling back from shore, leaving clarity in its wake. I've been supporting her for 12 years. The real question is, why hasn't anyone been supporting me? I slide into the driver's seat without responding and pull away, watching his diminishing figure in my rearview mirror. My hands tremble on the steering wheel, but my resolve strengthens with every mile between us. Something has to change, and tonight, it finally has. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing for 2 days straight. The family group chat explodes with a fresh wave of notifications, each one more accusatory than the last. "Dad, Nalani, your mother is distraught. Call her immediately." "Beatrice, I can't believe you would sabotage a family tradition." "Mom, the neighbors are asking what happened to all the decorations. This is embarrassing." I set my phone face down on the kitchen counter and take a deep breath. Through the sliding glass door, I watch Anthony and Lila in our modest backyard. They're pacing off dimensions, Lila's sketchpad clutched in her small hands as Anthony marks spots with orange survey flags borrowed from my design toolkit. An hour later, the doorbell rings, sending my stomach into a freefall. My mother stands on the front step, her face a perfect mask of wounded dignity. She doesn't wait for an invitation before brushing past me into the living room. "How could you embarrass us like this?" Her voice carries that special tone she's perfected over decades, the one that makes me feel simultaneously 6 years old and 80. "Hello to you too, Mom." I close the door, squaring my shoulders. Beatrice has been crying all morning. She called the Williamses and the Parkers. They've been asking what happened to the haunted house. "The haunted house is fine. It's just relocated." Mom's eyebrows arch nearly to her hairline. "To your postage stamp of a backyard? Please, Nalani, don't be ridiculous." Through the window, I spot Anthony demonstrating to Lila how to use the measuring tape. My son's face is alight with purpose, an expression I haven't seen since he tried explaining his Monster Guide script to his grandmother, only to have her dismiss it as saying it wrong. "If you don't return everything immediately," Mom continues, pacing a tight circle around my living room, "the family Thanksgiving is off the table for you. Christmas too. Your father and I can't condone this behavior." The threat hangs in the air between us. For 12 years, these holiday ultimatums have been her nuclear option, guaranteed to bring me back in line. But something has shifted. I open the sliding door. "Kids, come in for lunch." Their excited chatter fills the kitchen as they wash hands and claim their usual spots at the table. I set sandwiches in front of them, listening to their plans for the monster headquarters, with a lightness in my chest I'd forgotten was possible. "Grandma." Lila spots my mother and runs to hug her legs. Mom pats her head distractedly. "Nalani, we need to discuss this privately." Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of them." I place apple slices on their plates. They're part of this too. My mother's lips press into a thin line. "Very well. Your sister has offered a compromise. Return the main pieces, and you can be in charge of the refreshments table." Anthony looks up, confusion clouding his face. "But Mom, we already measured the werewolf tunnel. It fits perfectly by the oak tree." "And I drew all the signs for the forest path," Lila adds, sandwich halfway to her mouth. My mother waves these concerns away. "Your cousins are already practicing their guide speeches. Jason is quite good." "Jason said Halloween was for babies," Anthony mutters, staring at his plate. I rest my hand on his shoulder. "We're not bringing anything back, Mom. We're doing our own event this year." "This isn't about you, Nalani. This is about family tradition." "You're right." I meet her gaze steadily. It's about family, and teaching my children what that word actually means. She leaves in a flurry of slammed doors and promises of regret, while I return to the backyard with my children and a notepad. The small space presents challenges my parents' sprawling property never did, but 12 years of interior design work has taught me how to maximize limited square footage. What if we create a fog wall here? I sketch quickly as Anthony and Lila peer over my shoulders. The path could wind around this way, making the space feel twice as large. Anthony's face lights up, and we could hang the glowing mushrooms from fishing line in the trees. We work until sunset, plotting our alternative haunted forest. When I test our homemade fog machine fashioned from a cooler and dry ice, the backyard transforms into something ethereal. Lila runs through the mist, arms outstretched, and for the first time in weeks, I laugh, a real laugh that starts deep in my belly and rises unrestrained. 3 days later, I find myself sitting across from my family at Rosario's Italian restaurant, their traditional pre-crisis meeting ground since I was a teenager. The familiar smell of garlic and tomato sauce can't mask the tension hanging between us. Beatrice taps manicured nails against her water glass. This has gone far enough. The reporter is coming tomorrow, and half the displays are missing. Her voice drops to a stage whisper. Return everything, or I'll tell everyone you destroyed the tradition out of jealousy. My father nods solemnly beside her. Your behavior reflects poorly on all of us, Nalani. I take a slow sip of water, then reach for my purse. The folder I extract is thick with papers, organized by year with color-coded tabs. I've kept receipts for every purchase since 2012. I slide the folder toward the center of the table. Over $24,000 of my money went into building what you call the family tradition. My mother barely glances at the documentation. Family doesn't keep score, Nalani. Family doesn't take advantage either. The words come out steadier than I expected. I'm not asking for repayment. I'm asking for respect for me and for my children. Beatrice scoffs. This is so typical. You always need to make everything about you. No. I've made everything about everyone else for 12 years. That's the problem. The check arrives before my mother can respond, mercifully ending the standoff. As we leave the restaurant, I feel a strange lightness, as though I've set down a burden I've carried so long I'd forgotten its weight. When I arrive home, Sarah's blue sedan is parked out front. She stands in my driveway directing 3 men unloading folding tables from a pickup truck. The school's drama department had these in storage. She explains, hugging me with one arm. Michael convinced the principal to loan them for your event. More cars arrive throughout the afternoon. Parents from Anthony's class. Neighbors I've exchanged nothing more than waves with for years. Mrs. Rodriguez appears with a tray of empanadas for the workers, her arthritis-curved hands still capable of producing perfect crimped edges. I've watched you build this tradition for years, querida, she tells me, patting my cheek. About time you got to be the bruja in charge. By sunset, the transformation is remarkable. Michael has secured permission for guests to park along the side street. Lighting strung through trees creates mysterious shadows. A local garden shop has loaned potted evergreens to enhance the forest atmosphere. My phone rings just as I'm securing the last light strand. Beatrice's name flashes on the screen. The reporter is coming tomorrow and half the displays are missing. Her voice borders on hysteria. What am I supposed to tell them? I watch a volunteer helping Anthony position his werewolf tunnel. I'm sure you'll figure it out. You've been taking credit for years. Her gasp is audible. You can't. For the first time in our adult lives, I hang up on my sister without apologizing. The volunteers leave around 9, promising to return the next day for final preparations. I sit alone on the back step, surrounded by half-built props and twinkling lights. The night air carries the first real chill of autumn, promising perfect weather for Halloween. A piece of paper flutters near my feet. I pick it up, recognizing Lila's distinctive drawing style. 3 figures stand hand in hand beside what looks like our backyard setup. Above them, in careful second-grade letters, our family-haunted house. Just the 3 of us. Tears come unexpectedly, sliding down my cheeks. But these aren't the familiar tears of frustration or hurt. These are different, cleansing somehow. I pull my journal from my bag, something I've neglected for months in the rush of preparation. Under the soft glow of the string lights, I write, I've been the family ghost for 12 years, visible only through my work, never seen for myself. The next morning, I send a carefully worded invitation to select neighbors. Michael posts a notice in the teacher's lounge about an alternative haunted house for families who prefer something less intense than the traditional Gomez event. We finalized safety measures, parking arrangements, refreshment stations. That night, I tuck the children in early. Rest up, monster guides, I tell them, kissing foreheads and straightening covers. Tomorrow's your big debut. I'm almost asleep when my phone chimes with a notification. The local paper's online edition has posted an update. Traditional Gomez haunted house canceled this year. Below the headline, Beatrice is quoted, "Due to unforeseen family circumstances, we regretfully announce the postponement of our annual event." I turn off my phone, a quiet smile playing at my lips, as I settle back against my pillows. Tomorrow will bring its own challenges, but for tonight, in this moment, the victory is sweet enough. The next day, the October air feels electric against my skin as I adjust the final string of twinkling lights in my backyard. What once seemed like a modest space has transformed into an enchanted woodland maze, with paths formed by carefully arranged piles of autumn leaves. Anthony and Lila dart between the winding corridors, their handmade costumes catching the soft glow of strategically placed lanterns. Is my mushroom hat straight? Lila tugs at the spotted cap I'd spent 3 nights crafting after the children were asleep. Perfect. I straighten it slightly, my chest tightening with pride. Remember your line? Lila squares her shoulders, suddenly looking older than her 7 years. Welcome to the enchanted forest. Follow the glowing mushrooms if you dare, but beware the woodland spirits who call this place home. Her voice carries with unexpected authority. A car door slams out front, followed by another. Our first visitors. Anthony rushes to his position at the entrance, greeting the Thompson family with practiced charm. 2 more families appear behind them, then Mrs. Rodriguez from across the street, leaning on her cane but beaming with anticipation. The steady stream of neighbors and school families grows until a small line forms along the side of my townhouse. Sarah materializes at my elbow. 23 people already, and we've been open 15 minutes. My phone buzzes with texts from parents asking about parking. This is working. This is actually working. Then I see them. Beatrice's pearl earrings catch the streetlight as she marches toward my front gate, our parents flanking her like royal guards. My mother's mouth is pinched into that familiar disapproving line I've seen countless times. Father looks uncomfortable but resolute. Incoming, Sarah murmurs, stepping closer to me. They bypass the small line, heading straight for the entrance where Anthony is carefully checking off names on his clipboard. My stomach knots as I move to intercept them. This is exactly why people think you're difficult. Mother's harsh whisper carries despite her attempt at discretion. Several waiting parents glance our way. Beatrice reaches for Anthony's clipboard. We're here to help manage the crowd. I should greet people properly. The familiar urge to step aside, to accommodate, to keep the peace rises within me. But behind Beatrice, I catch sight of Lila leading her first group through the leaf maze, her voice clear and confident as she points out the details we'd crafted together. My daughter's spine is straight, her gestures animated. Something fierce ignites in my chest. This is our event. The words emerge calmer than I feel. You're welcome to join as guests. Mother's eyes widen. Nalani, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. My voice doesn't waver. The line starts there. Sarah steps smoothly between us. I'll show you where visitors can wait their turn, she offers, gesturing toward the small queue. Beatrice's nostrils flare. After everything we've done for you. Mom, Anthony calls from the entrance. Is it okay if I start my group now? We have 6 people ready. I nod, watching with swelling pride as my son leads his first tour group past our family standoff, his head held high as he explains the story behind the twisted tree we'd constructed from papier-mâché and wire. Beatrice's face darkens. She steps away from the entrance but remains within earshot of the waiting families. Look at these amateur decorations, she announces loudly. You'd think someone with design experience could do better than dollar store props. A few parents exchange uncomfortable glances. Mrs. Rodriguez, who had been waiting for her turn, thumps her cane against the ground and steps forward. I've attended both events for years, she announces, her voice carrying despite her age. This one has always been Nalani's vision. Always. She looks directly at Beatrice. I remember when your sister started this tradition. Where were you then, Nina? Several neighbors nod in agreement. The Perkins family, who've lived on my street for 5 years, murmur their own confirmation. Beatrice's face flames red. She turns abruptly, stalking back toward the street. Father hurries after her while mother lingers, clearly torn between following her favorite and maintaining appearances. Eleanor, Mrs. Rodriguez greets my mother with cool politeness. Your granddaughter is giving a wonderful tour. You should hear her. Rodriguez. Michael, Anthony's teacher, appears from around the corner of the house. Without drawing attention, he begins directing new families away from the lingering tension at the entrance. The school principal arrives moments later with a supportive smile, taking a spot in line as if she doesn't notice the family drama unfolding. 3 mothers from Lila's class form a protective semicircle around the activity area, where children decorate paper lanterns between tours. Their conversation flows naturally, but their positioning is deliberate, a human barrier between my family's chaos and the children's joy. Excuse me. A woman with a notepad approaches. I'm Denise Williams from the community newsletter. I heard there was something special happening here tonight. I open my mouth to respond, but Sarah answers first. You're looking at the creator of both haunted house traditions, Nalani Gomez. She's been designing Halloween experiences for 12 years. The reporter scribbles notes, glancing toward the small crowd now gathering outside to wait their turn. Laughter erupts from somewhere inside the maze as Lila delivers what must be the surprise ending of her tour. My phone buzzes again. Then again. And again. People are sharing your address online, Sarah says, checking her own phone. That Facebook mom group is telling everyone to come here instead. From the street corner, I spot Beatrice engaged in a heated argument with the parking volunteer, a parent who'd offered to help direct traffic. Her arms wave dramatically while father attempts to pull her away. You're choosing her side, Beatrice's voice carries across the yard. Mother approaches the reporter, her smile fixed and professional. This is actually a family tradition that began in Nalani's college apartment 12 years ago, Mrs. Rodriguez interrupts. I remember because my grandson was the first child to ever see it. One bedroom transformed into a haunted forest. She pats my arm. Some visions need time to grow, Verdad? Mother's smile falters. She retreats to where father stands, now physically separating Beatrice from the volunteer. Their unified front has cracked, 3 separate figures standing apart from each other on the sidewalk. After a moment of visible indecision, they leave in separate directions, Beatrice to her car, father following after a hesitation, and mother lingering before finally turning away. Nalani? Anthony appears at my side, flushed with excitement. Can we add more tours? People keep asking when the next one starts. Sarah squeezes my shoulder. I'll get more cider warming. Looks like we're going to need it. I watch my children move through the space we created together, their voices steady with newfound confidence. For the first time in 12 Halloweens, I don't feel invisible. The night air carries the scent of cinnamon, fallen leaves, and something else, possibility. The next morning, my phone pings with yet another text from Beatrice. I almost ignore it, but curiosity wins. We should combine forces next year. 2 Gomez haunted houses would be too confusing for everyone. I set my phone down and continue rinsing fake blood off a rubber mask in my kitchen sink. The red swirls down the drain, a fitting metaphor for how I feel about her suggestion. The morning after my successful backyard haunted house, and she's already plotting to absorb my creation back into hers. The phone rings. Mom. I let it go to voicemail, then listen with water still running. Nalani, this has gotten out of hand. Family needs to present a united front. Call me back. Within the hour, Dad's email arrives with the subject line, moving forward. The message contains 2 sentences. We should discuss carrying on the Gomez family tradition properly. Your sister is willing to forgive and forget. Forgive what, exactly? My unwillingness to remain invisible? The coordinated campaign continues throughout the day. Cousin Jennifer texts about Thanksgiving being so awkward if you don't make peace. Uncle Robert mentions Dad's blood pressure being up because of this unnecessary conflict. Even Aunt Sophia calls to warn me that Beatrice is telling everyone you stole her concept. The landline rings, only telemarketers and family friends use it. Mrs. Abernathy, Mom's bridge partner. Nalani, I've known you since you were knee-high to a grasshopper. This just isn't like you, causing such a fuss. I thank her for her concern and hang up, hands trembling slightly. The weight of everyone's disappointment presses against my chest. For 12 years, I've been the steady one, the reliable one, the one who never makes waves. Late afternoon finds me in the backyard, stuffing trash bags with fallen leaves and scraps of colored paper. A tattered script page flutters across the grass. I pick it up, recognizing Anthony's careful handwriting, his tour guide notes. Several lines have been crossed out, with corrections written above in different handwriting. Anthony? Can you come here a minute? He emerges from the back door, a chocolate milk mustache framing his wary expression. Did I do something wrong? No, honey. I hold up the script. I'm just wondering about these changes. His eyes drop to his sneakers. Grandma said I was saying it wrong. When did she say that? Last weekend, when you were getting supplies. She came over to practice with us. I hadn't known she'd been to our house. The realization that she'd corrected my children behind my back sends hot anger surging through me. Was she mean about it? Anthony shrugs. Not really. She just said people wouldn't understand me the way I was saying it. He looks up suddenly. But lots of people told me I did a good job last night. You did. I pull him into a hug. You were perfect. Later, after the kids are asleep, I scroll through photos from the event. The images show Anthony gesturing dramatically toward a papier-mâché tree, while a cluster of children listen, wide-eyed. Lila stands on a small platform, her witch hat slightly askew, explaining the magic potions to a group of parents. Their faces glow with pride and confidence. One photo stops me cold. Mrs. Rodriguez speaking with another elderly neighbor, pointing toward the children. I remember her words now. First time I've seen your kids take center stage. About time someone recognized their talents. My finger hovers over Beatrice's lunch invitation text. For a moment I consider accepting, finding a compromise for the children's sake. But these photos tell me what's truly for their sake. I text back a single word. When? 2 days later I slide into a booth at Corelli's, the neutral territory of a restaurant neither of us frequent. Beatrice and Mom are already there, Dad arriving seconds after me. They've chosen seats on one side, leaving me alone on the other. The battle lines couldn't be clearer. I ordered appetizers for the table. Beatrice announces before I've even settled. I was thinking we could display the main haunted house at Mom and Dad's like always, but maybe do a smaller kids' activity area in your backyard. You've always been good with the simple stuff. NSA. I sip my water, letting her continue outlining next year's expanded vision. Mom nods approvingly. Dad studies his menu with unusual concentration. When the calamari arrives, I wait for Beatrice to serve herself first, then Mom, then Dad. Old habits. I won't be participating in the family event anymore, I say quietly, setting down my fork without taking a bite. Their heads snap up in unison. Before they can respond, I pull a folder from my bag and slide it across the table. Here are the expenses I've covered over 12 years. Here's the visitor count from both events last weekend. Here's what the community had to say about each. Nalini, nobody cares about paperwork. Mom dismisses with a wave. I care. My voice remains steady. Our backyard event will continue as its own tradition. You can't just... Beatrice starts, but I cut her off. I already have. That Sunday, the local paper features both Halloween events. The headline reads, Halloween Magic ×2 in Ridgefield. There's Anthony, quoted about his spooky forest friends, and Lila explaining how she designed the fairy mushroom path herself. The article describes our event's warm, family atmosphere and acknowledges my 12 years of creative contribution to the community's Halloween traditions. I fold the newspaper carefully, planning to frame it. This attention will fade, Mom says when I decline Sunday dinner. People will forget by next year. I tuck the phone against my shoulder while stirring spaghetti sauce. That doesn't matter anymore. Then what does? Her exasperation leaks through the line. I realize something important, I say. I was teaching my children that their worth depends on others' approval. That's ridiculous. We've always supported. They deserve better. I lower the heat under the bubbling sauce. I deserve better. For the first time in my adult life, I end a call with my mother without waiting for her permission. 2 weeks later, an email notification appears on my phone. From the Community Center Director, subject line, Halloween Event Partnership Proposal. The preview text reads, We'd like to discuss the possibility of your leading a community-sponsored haunted house next year. My finger hovers over reply, a smile spreading across my face. I squint against October sunlight, flooding the community center parking lot. A year has passed, but the transformation feels like a lifetime. Mrs. Gomez, Where should we hang these lanterns? A teenage volunteer holds up glowing mushroom-shaped lights, their wire frames wrapped in translucent paper. Follow Anthony's map, I say, nodding toward my son. At 9 years old, Anthony had been hesitant and apologetic. Now 10, he stands tall beside a folding table, confidently pointing to marked locations on his hand-drawn blueprint. These go along the willow path. He explains to a cluster of volunteers. Make sure they're at different heights for the right effect. Nearby, Lila directs a group of younger children sorting small pumpkins into categories: painting stations, carving tables, and display-only arrangements. Her voice carries with surprising authority for an 8-year-old. The tiny ones go here, she instructs, tapping a box labeled in her careful handwriting. Those are for the fairy gardens. Warmth spreads through my chest watching them. No hunched shoulders, no apologetic glances, no waiting for permission. Sarah appears beside me, clipboard in hand. Channel 8 just pulled in, she says, nodding toward the news van. Reporter wants 5 minutes with the organizer. Last year, those words would have twisted my stomach into knots. Tell them I'll meet them by the entrance arch in 10 minutes, I reply. And make sure the parent committee is there too. The community center director passes by, giving me a thumbs up. Expecting record attendance this year, he says. Your design team knocked it out of the park. My design team. 5 local parents who followed my sketches and contributed their own ideas. People who sign their names to their work and acknowledge others. The news crew sets up near the arched entryway, a reporter in a crimson blazer adjusting her microphone. Not Beatrice's preferred reporter. A different face, a different station. We're here with Nalani Gomez, lead designer of the Community Halloween Festival. She begins as the camera light blinks red. This is your first year hosting at the community center. What inspired the change? I gesture toward the volunteers. This wasn't my decision alone. Our committee wanted to create something accessible to more families. The parent volunteers gather behind me, nodding in agreement. I introduce each by name, describing their contributions. When Anthony and Lila approach, I step aside. My brother and I help design the spooky forest section. Lila explains to the camera without a hint of shyness. Anthony adds, we tested all the scare levels to make sure little kids won't get too frightened. The reporter smiles genuinely. Quite the family tradition you've built. Community tradition, I correct gently. That's what makes it special. After the interview, I stand in the same spot where I once froze, watching Beatrice claim my work. The anxiety that once twisted my insides has vanished. Instead, satisfaction settles warm and solid in my chest as families begin arriving. Mom! Lila's voice cuts through the growing crowd. The mayor is here. My children dash toward me, eyes bright with excitement. Can we give him the tour? Anthony asks, bouncing on his toes. We practiced the whole walkthrough yesterday. Of course, I say. It's your section. They race off to greet the mayor, confidence radiating from their small frames. No one steps in to take their moment. No one dismisses their enthusiasm or questions their ability. Later, watching from a bench as twilight transforms the decorated grounds, I open the journal Sarah gave me when we started planning. My children taught me what truly matters. I write, not recognition or approval, but creating something meaningful together. The validation I spent years seeking from family never filled the emptiness. It came from within when I finally stood my ground. A young mother approaches hesitantly, clipboard clutched against her chest. Mrs. Gomez, could I ask your advice? My sister-in-law keeps taking credit for the fundraisers I organize for my daughter's school. Recognition flashes between us, that familiar tension of wanting to keep peace while slowly disappearing. Document everything, I tell her, moving over so she can sit. Save receipts. Take photos of yourself working. And most importantly, I pause, making sure she understands the weight of what comes next. Decide what you're teaching your daughter when you stay silent. But family harmony. The best tradition you can create is showing your children to value themselves. I say, watching Anthony lead the mayor past intricate displays he helped create. That's the real family legacy. Family. Thanksgiving arrives with a gentle snow dusting the ground. My dining room table rescued from a thrift store and refinished by hand stretches to accommodate friends, neighbors, and the small chosen family we've built. No tension hovers over the turkey. No need to measure words or walk on eggshells. Anthony carries in a basket of rolls he helped bake, Lila arranges her handmade place cards with focused precision. Genuine laughter fills spaces once occupied by careful silence. My phone buzzes with a text from Beatrice. Family dinner at Mom's tomorrow? I pause, fingers hovering over the screen. The automatic, yes, that once would have sprung to my lips, regardless of our plans, feels distant now. We have plans, but we'll stop by for dessert. I set the phone aside and rejoin my celebration. Sometimes the greatest act of family loyalty is teaching the next generation a better way to love, with respect, with boundaries, and with truth.